So you should have your drawing done from week 1. If you don't have your drawing done and you haven't submitted that yet to me, do not continue on. I can't give you points if I don't see your drawing. So make sure you submit this to me before moving on. But the next step is adding color. So I'm going to show you how we are going to do a colored pencil technique on our letters, so it looks more of like a painted effect or a spray painted effect. And I'm also going to show you how to kind of blend colors, and if you would like to add a highlight to the top of your letters, that's optional. I'll show you how to do that as well. So materials you're going to need is obviously your drawing from last week. You're probably going to need a small pencil sharpener to sharpen your colored pencils. You will need colored pencils. You don't need a extravagant set like I have. This is just all I have at home, but you are going to need colored pencils. And then you're probably going to want like a scrap piece of paper that you can test some of your colors out on. So I recommend getting just a scrap piece of paper so you can try out some of your blending techniques and your color choices as well. So the colored pencil technique we're going to be using is called burnishing. If you, in week 1 of our assignments where you got to choose your own art project or lesson, I did have a colored pencil video that showed you how to do burnishing. So some of you might be familiar with this technique. This technique means that you are using your colored pencil and you don't want a really sharp tip on your colored pencil because you're going to be pressing pretty hard on your colored pencil and that is just going to break the tip off. So you want your tip of your colored pencil to be a little bit duller, like this one here. And then when you're using your colored pencil in the burnishing technique, you're pressing down really hard to kind of saturate the paper so you cannot see any white or even the grain of the paper left. So let me show you on here. So I'm pressing down fairly hard and I'm going over the area a couple times to make sure I get my colored pencil in all the grooves of the paper. And then your colored pencil, when you're doing this burnishing technique, which I'm pressing pretty hard, will kind of have this shiny look to it. And that shows you that the paper is fully saturated. So paper has kind of like layers, like it's weaved together. So there are strands of paper that go this way, and then there's strands of paper that go this way. So when you're pressing really hard with your colored pencil, you are getting that pigment through the different layers of the paper. So it saturates the paper and gets this nice, really vibrant color in there. So if you want to add a highlight, so I have a little highlight bubble on each of my letters in my final product here. If you want to add that highlight area, what you're going to do is you're going to leave that spot open, so don't color it in yet. That's the last spot you're going to color in on your letters, and when you go to color it in, I'm not going to press as hard with my colored pencil, so I'm just going to lightly go over those little highlighted areas, just really light. But then I'm going to go in with a white colored pencil and I'm going to press harder with my white colored pencil. So this is making a tint, so it's a color plus white, so it's a lighter version of the color that you are using. So that will look nice as a highlight color. So the other thing I want to show you is how to blend colors. So you can kind of see on this example how I start at the bottom of my A with a darker red, and as I travel up the letter A towards the top, it gets lighter. It's a little bit harder to see on this yellow. You can kind of see on this blue, it's darker at the bottom, it gets lighter at the top. So how you can do that is with the color you are using plus white. So when I am starting at the bottom of my letter, I am pressing really hard, and if I want to transition to a lighter tint of that color, I'm going to let up on the pressure of my colored pencil, so I'm doing it a little bit lighter, I'm not pressing down as hard. Then I'm going to go in with my white colored pencil and blend that into the color, and I'm pressing pretty hard with this white colored pencil, so I'm going to blend them together. Like so. So another thing I want to show you is how to blend two colors together. So here I have a red and an orange. So I'm blending these two colors together because red and orange are right next to each other on the color wheel, so they blend well. So I'm going to start off with my red, doing the burnishing technique. Then I'm going to lighten up my pressure on my pencil and then phase in the orange. So let me show you here. So I'm going to press really hard and get that red going, and then up at the top here is where I want to transition to my orange. So I'm going to press a little bit lighter pressure here. Then I'm going to take my orange and press a little bit harder with that one. So you just want to vary your pressure, and I'm going to mix that down into my red, so there's not a harsh line where they transition. You want it to be like a gradual transition. So now I have this orange here, and then say maybe I want to transition to a yellow to make it more look like fire maybe. So then I'm going to take my orange, I'm going to lighten up my pressure here where I want my yellow to join in. Then I'm going to take my yellow and I'm going to press a little bit harder where that transition is. And then that gives a nice like gradual transition of the colors, so there's no hard transition edges. So when you're adding color to your graffiti tag, the first thing you want to color is your letters, then you want to do your shadow, then you want to do your special elements, whatever that is. I have slime on mine. And then you want to go and do your background. So the background is the very last thing that you are going to add color to. When you're choosing your colors, I would recommend doing different colors. So don't do like blue for all your letters. You can mix it up. You can have letters that are like solid blue, or maybe they start with a blue and then go up to a green and then up to a yellow. Think about colors that go together on the color wheel. So you can do like a dark purple that goes into a red, or you could do a green that turns into a blue. Things that you wouldn't want to do is do a letter that starts off green and then goes to a red, because those colors that are opposite on the color wheel don't blend together. So like orange and blue, or purple and yellow. So think of colors that are next to each other on the color wheels. Those colors go nicely together and blend well. So for your letters, you are going to use the burnishing technique. So pressing really hard with your colored pencil. That is the technique we're using just for our letters, to make it look like it is painted in. For your special effect, you can use whatever kind of technique if you'd like. I use the burnishing technique for my special effect. For your background, you do not want to use the burnishing effect, because your background should look like pavement, cement, blacktop, cracked concrete, and you don't want it to look painted. So obviously we want to make it look like this is spray painted on, but our background, we just want it to be a plain technique. So you can just use a simple coloring technique where you just go in the same direction and fill in the background like this. You could do cross hatching, where you add lines over the top of this, and this really fills in all the white space. And I'm not pressing hard because I'm not doing the burnishing technique for this, but this is a great way to fill in a large area. You don't want any white paper showing, so the end product should have no white paper showing. When you go to add in your shadows of your letters, you can either use a black marker if you have one, like a Sharpie or a Crayola. That makes it a little bit faster. Or you can use a black colored pencil as well. Let me just recap what you should be doing. So after you're drawing and you submitted this to me, then you're going to start to add color. So one, you're going to color in your letters with the burnishing colored pencil technique. Then you're going to add in your shadow, so wherever side you want your shadow to be. Then you're going to color in your extra elements that you added, so whether it's eyeballs, hearts, polka dots, anything that you added to that. Then you are going to, the last thing you're going to do is color in the background. The background should not be the burnishing colored pencil technique. So your finished product should look like this. There should be no white spaces left. Everything should be colored in and complete. This is what you want to turn in. So you need to take a quality picture of your finished product.